Mr. Stephen Kreitz. Mr. Stephen Kreitz. Mr. David R. Garcia.
Here.
Ms. Elizabeth Ramos.
Here.
Mr. James Lucy.
Here.
Ms. Delma Salinas.
Here.
And Mr. Corey Garza is present. Let the record show that there is a quorum of board members present, and this meeting has been posted in accordance with Government Code Chapter 551, State of Texas Open Meetings Act. At this time, the Kingsville Independent School District Board of Trustees will conduct a public hearing to discuss the Texas Academic Performance Report, better known as the TAPER. At this time, our Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Angie Ramirez, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm going to try and speak loud. I don't have a microphone, but I'm getting one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President and board members and Dr. Bettis. Today's presentation addresses the requirement to provide in a public meeting our TAPER report or Texas Academic Performance Report, as you indicated. So I'm going to try and do a couple of things here.
And just for the record, again, this TAPER report is actually mandated, am I correct, every year by the state of Texas.
So the Texas Academic Report, or the TAPER report, is a comprehensive reporting system defined by statute, published annually since 1990, provides parents and community a snapshot of district and campus performance, profile, performance of current year lab students, and contains all the data used to determine district campus accountability ratings. The data collected is through our PEAMS reporting system and the student assessment data. In 2019-2020, we did not participate in the STAR assessment due to COVID-19, so our overall campus ratings carried over to the 2020 year. We were considered not rated due to over-identifying of military. So you'll notice that H.M. King Early College High School received a Q rating. Memorial Middle School overall C, Gillette overall D rating, Harrell overall F, Harvey overall D, Clayburgh overall F, and Bettis overall A. Again, distinction designations were not awarded in 2019-2020. However, we did receive in 2020 special education determination status as needs assistance overall academically. Our district profile for the campuses are as follows. Domain 1 is overall student achievement. Domain 2 is either academic growth or relative performance. We are choosing to address the academic growth because we want to ensure that our students are progressing each year. Domain 3, closing the performance gaps, and then you have the overall scores that I just went over. So in Domain 1, King High School received a 76 overall student achievement, in academic growth a 78%, and in closing performance gaps a 73. Memorial Middle School, 57 overall student achievement, academic growth 74, closing performance gaps 71 with a 73 overall. Gillette Intermediate, 60% at Domain 1. Domain 2 academic growth 55%, closing performance gaps 47% with an overall of 60%. Our elementary campuses are as follows. Bettis Elementary received an overall student achievement 79%, academic growth 88, closing performance gaps 100% with an overall rating of 92. Clayburgh Elementary, Domain 1 overall student achievement 51%, Domain 2 academic growth 51%, Domain 3 33% in closing performance gaps, and overall 47%. Harvey Elementary School, domain 1, 70%, domain 2, 54%, closing performance gaps, 47, with an overall of 67. Harold Elementary, domain 1, 59%, domain 2, 55% academic growth, domain 3, closing performance gaps at 46%, and overall 59%. And you'll see the overall Kingsville ISD scores of overall student achievement at 74, domain 2, academic growth at 59%, domain 3, closing performance gaps at 72%, with an overall rating of 84. However, again, we were rated as acute, or not rated. I am now going to move into our staff information, or our student information rather, in the TABOR report. In 2019-2020, we had a total of about 3,083 students. And then you see the demographic breakup below. Our demographic subpopulations, ECO was about 76%, English language learners, 113, or 3.7% of our student population. Students with disciplinary placements in 2018-2019 was 100, or 2.8%. And at risk, we had about 55% of our students at risk.
I want to make a clarification, just to clarify on where it says all students, 3,083, that would have been at snapshot. That would have been October.
Correct. Thank you.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Mm-hmm.
When it goes to the demographic, the subpopulation, when it goes to ECODIS and the English learners and things like that, et cetera, how do we get that information? And I don't understand sometimes, because I know I guess the $25,000 is the average income in Kingsville. So I want to know how we get that number of 76%. But I think it may be higher, or if it's lower, I don't know.
And it could be higher. The eco disadvantage is usually taken from our free and reduced lunch applications, and so we don't always get those in. Okay. Thank you. Okay, and at risk again was 55%, and there are 14 different indicators for at risk, such as not meeting standard on universal screeners, STAR test, dyslexia, so forth. Our program participation in our bilingual ESL program, we had about 97 students, or 3.1%. 851 students participated in our career and tech ed program, 96 in gifted and talented, and 445, or 14.4%, participated in our special education program. Our staff information district profile, we had a total of 473 staff members, with 254 being professional staff, certified or degree, 202 being teachers, professional support, 29, campus administration and school leadership, 17, central administration, 6, educational aides or instructional paras, we had 68 last year, and auxiliary staff, 149. Total minority staff, 388, which are full-time employees that are non-white. And a number of students per teacher ratio is about 15 students per teacher, which is really excellent.
Okay, the screen up there is about the attendance also and dropout rate.
I'm sorry, I skipped a page.
That's okay.
I just shared the following page with you. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. 2018-2019 cohort attendance rate at the district level was 93.5%, at the state was 95.4%. Annual dropout rate for grade 7 and 8 was 0.9%, at the state level, 0.4%. Annual dropout rate, grade 9 through 12, 4.3%, 1.9 at the state. 79.1% graduated in the class of 2019, with 90% at the state. Graduates, including GED and continued high school, was 94.1% compared to the state at 88%. This is an area when I present the district improvement plan next week that you'll see being addressed. And I just went over the staff information. Teachers by highest degree type, we have 19.5 with no degree. I looked into a little bit about what that meant, and it looks like we might need to address some communication between our HR department and our PEIMS submission, because I did look up 2 to 3 teachers who were on the not degreed list who are degreed. So I think it's updating our records and working together to make sure that we are addressing that information.
Would that include those teachers that are on probably emergency plan?
Yes, it
Okay.
would. So they're not all errors.
Yes, ma'am.
We do have some, or we did have some at this time on emergency permit, correct?
Do we know what the percentage is right now?
We do not, but I can bring that information to you. I do know that number. We currently have, I don't know the percent, but we currently have 26 with no degree. We just did our fall submission, but again, that is an error in reporting. And so we need to correct that so that those errors are not showing in our taper report.
One of the things that we wanted to make sure that we're doing a better job of, that we've learned, just like in this report, is the PEIMS coding, how critical it is to making sure that everything we're actually inputting is correct. And in reading this report, that is one of the things that we've really noticed that needs correcting. So we're working with our PEIMS department and our HR department now to make sure that that gets cleaned up for the next year.
Yes, because in the district profile with teachers by degree, this is also impacting our numbers that we are reporting that have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a doctorate degree. So we do need to work together between our HR department and our PEIMS department to make sure that these numbers are correct so that it'll be corrected on our next taper report. Questions? Okay, this is our district profile per pupil expenditures. We have a total operating expenditures of $11,822 per student, with $5,710 per student going to instruction, $149 going to instructional leadership, $653 going to school leadership, $253 guidance and counseling, $1,100 per student going towards our food services, $850 general administration, and $1,694 for plant maintenance and operations.
Question. I could not make that link work. I mean, I put it in several times. Is this information presented in a similar format for the surrounding districts, or all districts?
Yes.
You mean the taper report, or do you mean the?
This specific per pupil expenditures. I'm interested in knowing how this compares to some of our local districts.
Oh, okay, I see.
It does vary, and I can get that information for you. Our violent and criminal incidents, we had 1 report at high school with weapon possession. Our 2019-2020 accreditation status is showing that we received a first rating of superior, which I believe Dr. Pitts addressed that in our previous board meeting. Our 2019-2020 accountability rating carried over from 2018-2019 is not rated. And we are accredited as a public school. These are overarching goals based on the data that you saw that will be addressed in our district improvement plan. Goal 1 addresses school climate, safe and healthy schools. KISD will provide a safe and healthy environment for students, staff, families, and communities. Under each one of these goals, as I present the district improvement plan to you at our next board meeting, we'll have very specific SMART goals with action steps for your review. Under family and community engagement structure, goal 2, KISD will increase parental and community engagement opportunities that increase collaborative partnerships and communication. Under our academic achievement structure, KISD will create a system of academic excellence by aligning the district's curriculum with common assessments to ensure equitable access to high-quality instruction that engages all students and increases student achievement. Goal 4 addresses our CCMR graduation rate and dropout prevention structure. KISD will offer courses that provide coherent and rigorous content aligned to challenging academic standards and relevant technical knowledge and skills needed for further education and careers in current or emerging professions. Goal 5 is our staff quality structure. KISD will support teachers and staff by providing research-based professional development that strengthens content knowledge and pedagogy. And goal 6 addresses our technology structure. KISD will prepare students to be safe, responsible, and innovative digital citizens and encourage students to take responsibility for their own learning. Again, these are currently proposed district and campus goals as I present the district improvement plan to you in the next couple of weeks.
How do you plan to monitor these? Because again, being on the board prior, and some of us here already, and again, I know these are different than we've seen before, but how are we going to hold these people accountable, or the committees, these goals accountable when, again, some of us have seen prior and nothing was ever done. So how do you all plan to do that?
On the upcoming the next board meeting, which is February 22nd, that's where we're going to present the district improvement plan. It'll have the SMART goals she was talking about, referring to, and the exact strategy that we're going to use to monitor.
And so what we did, because we are building from the district across campuses, is our campuses goals are also aligned to these goals. So their action steps, the work that the district is rolling out is the work that the campuses are rolling out.
We're going to try to be as consistent as possible.
Yeah. So in a summarization of our safe schools, services to be continued are to continue to utilize EduHero to provide teacher staff training on bullying and violence prevention, safety and security, and suicide prevention. Provide parent education and parent involvement opportunities. Special one-time events, continue those such as Ribbon Week and special assemblies. Schools, continue our school safety and crisis management teams, as well as practicing the drills. Our goals are to increase parent and community engagement, increase drug prevention programs and or activities, increase violence prevention programs and or activities, increase professional development in suicide prevention, student participation in suicide prevention forum, provide professional development in capturing kids' hearts, which we've already begun that work as well. And then this year we are also continuing to implement Brainman Time, something that Dr. Bettis started, to provide a home away from home for every student and a sense of belonging and building relationships. A summarization of our target indicators, areas to be addressed at each campus, are to continue to improve student achievement and STAR meets and masters scores. We need to get more students achieving at the meets and masters level. In grades 3 through 8 writing, reading specifically, grade 4 and 7 writing, and of course English 1 to Algebra 1 and biology. Our Hispanic population overall, because that is our biggest group right now, it's about 83%. Our economically disadvantaged group, which again is a large group, and special education, which at the beginning you showed, I showed needing academic across the special education area. We want to continue our college career and military readiness and continue to increase parent and community engagement as part of our target indicators academically. And this just shows today's information on the public hearing and where the taper report can be available on the TA website, our district website, and campus websites as well. Questions?
Are there any comments from the public for Dr. Bettis and Mr. Ramirez? Ask the question again. Do we have any further comments to the taper report? Mr. Christie?
I would like to know, when you read this off the second time, could you please let us know on your district profile continued, whether or not we're improving or not in these numbers?
Yes, sir.
What, can you tell me what page that was, Mr. Guzman?
That was on page. Sorry. It was
Six of the
page 6.
38 of the electronic package.
I'm sorry. I was
Page
The domain 1, 2, 3, and the
Yes,
overall.
1, 2, 3 overall.
But these are.
These are 2019,
Yeah,
but they carried over, we're still.
and there is no 2020, and there probably won't be any 2021.
Right.
It won't be, okay.
Until
Because
2022, I believe.
but for the future, I just want to know, I don't know if this is, if, for instance, 51 is an improvement over last year, or it's
I understand.
less.
Which if we would have had one of 2020, we would have been able to show, okay, 2019 was this, 2020 was this, but because of COVID, they didn't have it.
That's what I was just asking. Are they on the way up or are they all the way down?
And I believe we will be receiving scores. They just won't be for accountability purposes, so we can see how we measure towards that after we receive those in the summer.
That'd be good.
Yes, thank you.
I have some questions, but I had already mentioned it earlier to Dr. Fettis, but on the SPEDed numbers, the 445, the 14.4% for the district versus the 10.5 for the state. So, we've got a high number of SPEDed students. That was alarming to me, as well as the annual dropout rate, grades 9 through 12, 4.3 versus the state 1.9. So we're like way over the state
Yes,
average.
ma'am. I would agree, and I know Dr. Davila and Mr. Michael are working on instructional endeavors when it comes to special education and identifying, as well as addressing, again, as I mentioned, you'll notice in our district improvement plan, we are going to address, because when we saw those numbers pretty much across the board from 7th grade on, and looking at our retention rates are high also. So we'll need to address those as well.
And the over-identifying of special ed students, we need to be trying other things before we get to that point.
Correct.
And that was basically it. To me, that was just alarming, the high numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else have any comments at this time during the taper?
Well, I kind of wonder if you look at the other districts and find out what their population is, but I'm pretty sure it's completely upside down from where we're at as well. I think Christ usually goes on and on about how we get the special education kids from all the other districts. So that may be a reason why it may not be technically over, diagnosing these kids. I don't know. But I think that's one thing that we have to look at KISD is why we have such a high rate.
And that's something we could look at, because we know where the students come, if they're coming from other districts. But I do know also that we do have work to do in our over-identifying and addressing response to intervention initially.
I think it's a mixture of both.
Yes.
Because as we were just discussing, the other school districts that are taking on a lot of our students they're not taking on the special education students. So I would like to see these numbers run with where we feel we ought to be. And if these are in line.
Because it's not open enrollment, they get picky as to who they take and who they don't take.
Exactly. So if we had all of our students, would these be an average number of spec kids?
Probably.
And
So I don't
that's-
think
that's
it's
what I'm curious about.
over-identifying, that's, you think you have.
There is some of that, there is.
But what I can kind of just say real quick is I think that we finally have a team in place that really understands what we need to do and how we need to do it and what we need to do and what we're gonna do. So again, whether it's over-identifying, under-identifying, I think we're on the right track, not just in the special ed department, but every other department, and we'll get it fixed.
I think so too.
I think we might have a copy and paste problem when it comes to special education. Copy and paste is you just copy something from somewhere and that's what you're gonna do for that kid. It's not specialized to really help out that individual kid. And hopefully we got some help.
Yes, I agree.
Any other comments?
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Ramirez. Again, at this time, I will declare this public hearing of the Taper report adjourned at 5:28.
Live, sir.
You're live? Okay, good. It's 5:30 on Monday, Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. I call this regular meeting of the Kingsville Independent School District to order. This time we'll have roll call vote. Mr. Brian Kufal.
Here.
Mr. Stephen Kreitz. Mr. David Garcia.
Here.
Mr. Elizabeth Ramos.
Here.
Mr. James Glustein.
Here.
Ms. Delma Salinas.
Here.
Mr. Corey Garza is present. Let the record show that there is a quorum of board members present and this meeting has been posted in accordance with Government Code Chapter 551, State of Texas Open Meetings Act. At this time, we'll have a moment of silence, and especially for the KISD family, lost a true family member today. So we're gonna kind of take an extra minute, and God bless your soul or their soul. And followed by that, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance along with the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, XKAPP2UGOE. To reduce the chance of COVID-19 transmission, board meetings will be held in a manner intended to separate, to the maximum practical extent, audience from personal contact with members of KISD Board of Trustees and administrators. Public comment input for all items of the agenda of the Kingsville Board of Trustees shall be provided in written format to the following email address: youtube@kingsvilleisd.com prior to 5:15 p.m. Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. All emails should include the sender's name and address. Email comments will be read during the public participation portion of this board meeting. At this time, we move to item number 4, the adoption of agenda. At this time, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Mr. President, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, sir.
Mr. President, I'd like to motion that we table item number 8, consider approval of second reading of board policy SC local to the next scheduled or special board meeting that would occur after a board workshop, so we can further discuss some specific codicils of the policy to include but not limited to AP classes, weighting of specific classes, weighting of college classes during the summer, certain codicils related to the Tier 3 CTE classes, to determine and analyze to the board's satisfaction the impact these have on our overall academic program, scheduling, budgeting, et cetera.
Okay, let me go ahead and ask legal. Mr. Maddox, since you're here present, since this is past the first board reading, is there, correct, can you guide us in which way we need to go?
Yes, Mr. President, and members of the Board of Trustees, Superintendent. The board does have a local policy where you typically do at least 2 readings before adopting a new policy. The board interprets its own policy as well. In this case, if it's the prerogative of the board to table this item, they can do so. Otherwise, we can wait till we get to that agenda item and you can call for discussion prior to calling for a motion on that.
I think there's a motion before them.
We're not.
Let me adopt first.
The item's not properly before the board
Right.
yet, because we're not there. Now,
Okay.
it's your prerogative to go in what order on the agenda, but until we get there, if you want to move us there, that's fine.
I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and adopt this agenda, and then when we get to that item, we'll go ahead and entertain whatever comes that way.
Wait, I made a motion. Do I get a second on that?
No, it would have to be in the body of the agenda.
That's the agenda.
So when we get to number 8, that's when you state exactly what you just said.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, sorry if that wasn't clear.
Then I'll move to adopt the agenda then.
Is there a second?
Okay.
Good. It is moved and second that we adopt the agenda for February 9th, 2021. Any discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Good. Motion carries 7-0. This time we have item number 5, public participation. Mrs. Bettis, do we have anybody that wishes to address the board?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. We have none. This time we'll move to item number 6, which is communication from administration from Dr. Bettis. But before we move on, again, I just want to, as you're the board president, on behalf of our other board of trustees, I want to thank our county judge, Rudy Madrid, along with our senior staff, Mr. Dr. Bettis, all the nurses, and all the administrators for having a successful COVID-19 in the county as well. So I've seen all the other people for being the only district in region. I do that state, right? In the whole area, which would be region 2 and region 1, to provide a COVID vaccination. So kudos to everybody that put us together. So thank you. In that, then we'll move on to communication from the superintendent, Dr. Bettis.
Thank you very much. Yes, and I want to thank our HR clerks who went and helped us as well during the coordination of it. Thank you, HR department, for helping us to coordinate that. So, okay, first we're going to have Dr. Vasquez Cruz. He is going to discuss the E-rate funding information for you. So that'll be the first thing on our update.
Thank you. Okay.
Should be in your book.
It should be in your board book, probably number.
Did you get it in an email?
You got email to your mom, correct?
Email,
Last time.
sideways.
Sideways.
Email.
Ms. Bennett, do we have any more discussion?
We can see it up here. so
Yes,
it's
okay.
It's okay.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Board President, Mr. Garza, KISD Board of Trustees, Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Pettis, KISD staff, and our wonderful Kingsville community. I'm here again to present on the E-rate. A little bit over a month ago, I presented on the E-rate 2019-2020. Now I will be presenting on the E-rate 2021-2022. So we are out for more budget necessary funding for our school campuses. First of all, what is the E-rate? This program was created as part of the Telecommunications Act of 1996. Okay, and everything that goes to the E-rate fund is generated through the Universal Service Fund. And basically, it is a small fee that we all pay in our telephone bills. So if you look on your telephone bill and you find the words USAC, USAC, you're going to see that you're contributing to this program. The total amount for this upcoming year is 3.9 billion, so it's quite a bit. All schools and libraries that are nonprofit do qualify to apply for funds, okay, as long as they follow the rules. And in this plan, there are two service categories that we know as Category 1 and Category 2. Category 1 is basically internet access. We are pretty much well-founded on that. We have an additional 2 years so we can receive benefits for the internet signal, super fast internet signal at very low price. So what we're going to concentrate is actually in category number 2, which is the critically part, the equipment. The E-rate cycle has about 9 steps. Right now we are in step number 2. We posted our 470 recently. I'll tell you more about it in a few minutes. As a matter of fact, today we held a service provider visit. It was a very short visit in conference room 3. Basically, the vendors come in, they get another copy of the request for proposals. They have a chance to ask some questions, and that opens a window so they can ask questions. We provide answers, and all this information is actually posted on the E-rate portal center. So our goal is to make it all the way to step number 9, which means we accept the funding to the Form 486. So all the forms have specific number. Right now, we are in Form 470. For Category 2, the number that we filed for this year is the number 210002257. And we posted that successfully on January 29. Okay, this is going to open the 28-day bidding process. And actually, we're going to have more than 28 days. We're going to have 20. We're going to provide plenty of opportunity to our service providers to be able to ask questions, receive answers, and then draft their proposal to us. Everything will be done via the seal proposal method. And this is a short list, and if we count all the devices under the column of quantity, and this is a little bit too small, we'll count an estimated 95 items, and these devices are high price. Again, we'll get education price. We estimate that we can claim an estimated $550,000 for the year 2021-2022. If we do this correct, then we will do it right. We want the best for our students. We're estimating also that the discount will be at 85%. So our next step is going to get actually maybe to request the team's forms. You were talking about our social equities, and basically social equity drives this number. So we can claim the highest discount possible for the district. If we do this according to plans, and again, we will do that, we'll make sure that happens, we might have to pay a contribution of $82,500. And again, that's an estimated amount. But again, we'll get benefits for $550,000. These are some of the items on the category 2. So we are asking for more Wi-Fi devices, beginning with the cabling. So we are deficient in some buildings. We need to add additional cabling to support the access points or the hotspots. We need another controller, so we can have a way to support the original controller. We only have one device in the district, so we need a partner to that controller. So if something happens to that device number 1, then device number 2 is there to continue with the work.
about an estimated 300 access points for our schools. And again, plenty of switches, and we need some batteries. And you might remember we had a power outage recently. Some of our campuses were able to sustain the loss of power because of batteries, but we need more batteries, and these batteries are, again, high dollar. And we at least are requesting one battery per campus so we can keep the core switch running and the telephone system running also as well. So again, this is my presentation to you. Excited to let you know that we have a very good opportunity to receive additional funding from the E-rate, and that will be, again, WillScribe will do everything possible to make sure that we collect those funds in a timely manner. Any questions you might have?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Page 5 is the total 550. Is page 6 in addition to that, or is that included in that total?
It's included in that total.
Okay.
Yes. It's included in that total. And most likely the service providers are going to exceed the total amount. And at that moment, we're going to have to be very careful in selecting the components that we want to bring in to enhance our network. And they are vendors, so pretty much they will try to sell to you what you're asking for, plus a little bit more. Okay.
Thank you.
We'll make sure that we stay within budget.
Any other questions when it comes to E-rate?
Free money.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your attention.
Thank you, Douglas. This time we'll move on to item number 6. Item number 2, TSI. Dr. Pettis.
Yes, I'm gonna have Mr. Singh come up here who has been spearheading this for us. Provides good information about the status of our TSI implementation. The changes that have been made to TSI.
Ready? Yeah. Good evening, Board President, Mr. Corey Gaza, board members, our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Cici Perez, KISD staff, parents. I'm here to present you this report on TSI, the test the students take to be eligible to take the college courses. So the dual credit courses or any course they take on a community college or at a university level. When they are in high school, they have to pass this test. So just to give you a little bit of background, the TSI current was the older test, ended in December 2020. The new test is TSI 2.0, which already started on January 11, 2021. We will start testing the students pretty soon, starting probably this month. We only tested 2 students to see how this test, will work, because we all knew the test is new. Test administration is new, and not really the content. So our counselors, myself, we all went through the training. There were 4 trainings provided by the Texas Higher Education Coordinator Board. What is changing with the launch? Current reading and writing tests will be combined into one ELAR section. Current ABE, which is Adult Basic Education, and DE, Developmental Education Diagnostic, will be combined into one diagnostic section with 5 levels. And the new passing scores for math and ELR. And those are the next page. So the older test had mathematics minimum passing for 350, reading was 351, writing 340 objective, 4 essay. If they make less than 340, then they have to go to ABE diagnostic greater than equal to 4 and essay greater than equal to 5. With the new test, what they did, they combined it. So math is 950 plus objective. If they score less than 950, they have to pass the diagnostic with 6. In English, okay.
So this 950, where's that come from? The combining of math, reading, and writing?
So what they did, this is a totally new scoring they came up with. It's not combining the scores from the past. So it's basically they come up with a new scoring guidelines.
Okay.
So it's not, yes. So we can just. And when it comes to English ELAR, they have to score 945 on objective, 5 on essay. If they score less than 945 on objective, then they have to get on the diagnostic, they have to get 5 or 6, and essay at least 5. Question?
Yes. You said the content didn't really change, so there's no increased rigor necessarily. It's just the way the grading is taken.
Grading is taken place, yeah.
Do you, in your training and in your experience with this, does this make it harder for a student to pass the TSI?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yes, it's pretty much same. And we will find more about it as when the kids take the test, because we have not seen the test. I've seen the content of what is will be tested, right? The scope and sequence, but not the real test and question. And the test is a computerized adaptive test, so it allows the students to. So the math section, if you can see, just for information purposes, that the test will be 20 items, the real test. If it does not pass that, then he take a diagnostic, then he will have 48 items. So since it's an adaptive test, computer automatically put him into a basic or intermediate proficient level, so to see where the kid stands, and that way they can, the computer can make a decision if the student will still be able to pass. ELAR has 30 items, just like English has less items than diagnostic. The writing focus items, there are 4 and 11, and there are 48 items on the diagnostic. So we always tell the kids, if you don't want to sit there, then be careful, take your test seriously and answer your items correct before your computer start making judgment on you. Because computer gives them one item, then they say get it wrong, then they give another item. And then that way, adaptive program figures out what level they give. So looking at the test scores, this is the test scores for the older test from August 2020 to January 22nd, 2021. The TSI placement test 5 or 4, we have 56 students passed out of 77. And 27 scores 5, whereas 29 scored 4, and the percentage was 73. For TSI math placement, 15 students passed out of 86, 20% of them passed. And reading, 25 out of 104, 24% passed. And writing on multiple choice, 71 out of 77 students passed. That's a 92%.
And this is for this year?
Yes, sir.
And high school?
High school.
Across what grades?
All grades.
Is it predominantly 12th and 11th graders, or?
It's a mixture of 10, 11, and 12.
How many of these students are in AT class?
That number I don't have with me, but if I remember exactly, I think about out of these students, I cannot tell you that because some of the students probably passed in the past, right? So before in the sophomore or junior year, this course they're already taking AP classes, but those who are taking AP classes, we can find out how many have passed the TSI.
That'd be nice to know, especially if we're rewarding them with.
Yes.
Dr. Strauss gave that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we provide that information to Dr.
Yes, we, currently in AP English 3, we have 11 have passed it, 25 have not. AP English 4, 23 have passed it, 12 have not.
So those are the ones those who are taking the test. So, but that's what about 50% of the students who pass the PSI are taking AP English.
I think what's important to note is that we've exposed 77 kids to the TSI writing placement, 56 passed, when last year there was only 27 kids that were exposed to this test and 25 passed.
Nice,
So-
fantastic.
Yeah, I
And
was
then
gonna, yeah,
If you
so
look at
next
the
one.
map, the next one, 86 students have been exposed, maybe only 15 has passed, but at least 86 have actually attempted it. And last year there was only 32.
Now, the reason there would be different numbers is that out of those 86, maybe some of them have already passed the other
No.
portions or.
No, sir, those are the one who took the test. What you talking about the last year?
Well, okay, you had 77 take the writing placement, 86 take the math placement. Why would I take the math placement and not take the writing placement? I've probably already passed. Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes,
And
because
then-
those are tested by units.
got it, got it. And this is the old test, but the content is the same.
Content is-
Got it.
Pretty much. it.
Do
So,
we know where we are though, like seniors, juniors, freshmen, sophomores? How many kids we have in that class? How many have passed in that class? I mean, that's what we passed this year. That got added to who's already passed, correct?
so we have total 39 12th graders passed the test, 69 11th graders and 34 10th graders.
Out of the entire class?
So far out of that entire group of the student tested,
Okay, for this year, we tested this year.
the one we tested this up
My question is,
all the way to the beginning.
cumulatively, how many seniors have passed the PSI? How many juniors have passed the PSI? Do we know that?
No, sir. We can find out. All you want to know how many seniors and how many,
Where do we stand as a class? 60% of the kids have
Per
passed?
cohort.
yeah, cohort, yeah.
Cohort.
Right.
I mean, that's great for this year. That's good stuff, but
Yeah, and I think that's what we were trying to, I think that's what he was trying to bring today was, okay, are we doing better this year at exposing kids to TSI and getting them to pass? And it definitely looks that way. So now we can just get the.
Providing more opportunities. Yeah.
So how are you doing that? Are you doing that by having every 6 weeks having a PSI test or?
That's on the next slide, right?
Very good question, sir. So you can see that, guys, if you notice that the number of students tested this year, 77, 86, 104, 77. And we know by math, if more kids test, the percentage is lower. If less kids test, because those who, 4 out of 32, those who tested, that really means that they wanted to test, and others are just there because we call them and come and test. Also notice that 2019, 2020, that was a face-to-face test, whereas we were in a COVID situation, so we really have to beg the students to come to the campus to test or do over the Zoom. So counselors did a really good job calling them, sending a remind to come over and take the test. It was not easy. They were not a captive audience like they were last year, when you can just call on the phone over the, PA system and get them to come to the testing.
So this was like 3 times harder
This
to
is
do.
them.
And I want to commend the high school staff. for
Yes.
their work.
Really, counselors worked so hard.
Counselors.
When I came on job on August 18, we started the process right away, and counselors had a schedule going on and calling, and I'm really impressed what they have done so far with this. Hope you guys are too. So high school TSI-2 testing. The testing schedule we have set up for by day. So Tuesday, all 11 graders can test. Wednesday, 10th graders. Thursday, 12th graders, and Friday, 9th. We're kind of trying to do 15 students per day. So if we are successful to get the 15 tests, that means we can test 60 students per week. Students can take in person, but we also have availability to take it on the Zoom. And AccuPlacer allow us to test them on the Zoom. So in that situation, counselor will only test 5 students on the Zoom because they have to proctor and monitor 5 different screens, because every kid will be on a different screen. So, and then in person, we'll probably do, 10 to 12 kids, depending on how many come face-to-face and how many other. High school TSI-2 plan, math teachers, they already received an overview training from me in math for TSI, TSAT questions in January 2021. ELAR teachers started incorporating these strategies in fall 2020 because we gave them a training through Steady Sync. Once the student and the high school will designate 1 math and 1 English teacher to provide intervention for the retakers. we do want retakers to go through the intervention before they take the next test. So teachers will provide their student based on the report of the previous test they take, what strategies and what questions they need to go. Once the student goes through that intervention, they go to their counselor and they can sign up for the retest, but they must go through the intervention. Questions? Middle school, we're starting this year, middle school TSA 2 plan because of early college high school students. So I trained math teachers, 4 of them, with the math section of TSI January 2021. I have a consultant who's going to come and train ELAR teachers pretty soon. Students will, there's little different. These students will go through the intervention first through the intervention time. So the teacher will prepare them and they will have the opportunity to test after start test. So we are hoping, that this will increase our number of dual credit students in the coming years.
And that's during the Memorial Middle School schedule. They have an intervention time class slot that students go for intervention, but we realize not every student needs intervention. What they need is intervention and TSI maybe or some enrichment. So that's what this is about when he says intervention time.
Yes.
We're gonna be somewhat selective in doing testing each grade.
Algebra 1 mostly, and 8th graders those who want to test.
Do you have to pass the TSI to be in the early college high school?
Not right away, sir. They can start in early college, but they have to pass it before the end of freshman year or beginning of sophomore year, so they can start taking the dual credit class. We're just acting little.
Requirement. I think I know the reason. There is no requirement to pass the TSI to take any course.
No.
College board is pretty strict about the open access.
Open enrollment. Yeah.
But they can take some college classes without that. They can take the Mike Cougar, they can take, I mean, there's some, there's not a lot, there's a few that they can take. And I think we've got those front loaded in the.
Freshman.
And you don't have to pass the math section to take some of the courses. You can pass English section, you can take these courses, and you pass math section. Then. So there are a lot of courses, and I had experience from my previous district. Actually, I had to go to the community college and talk to them because they look at the score report and say, oh, you didn't pass the TSI. When you pass the TSI, come and enroll. And I said, no, they can enroll in, all anatomy, physiology, all the science classes once they pass the English section. If they're going to engineering program, then they need a math section to pass. So sometimes counselors or community college hush them off, and we have to be careful.
Questions?
Again, thank you, Dr. Steen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
This time we'll move to item 7A, which should be under new business. The common consent, the board agrees to consider as one action item the following from pages 2 to 10. Approval of tax report of November 2020. Approval of financial report for November 2020, along with approval of investment report for November 2020.
I have questions.
Okay.
I have questions specifically about page 5, which is the general fund financial report. I just want to make sure that I understand this correctly.
Go ahead, Mr. Kufal.
All right, thank you. We're looking at November, and we're comparing November 2020 to November 2019. November would be 3 months into the year, correct?
That is correct.
All right. We've got a huge difference there in local tax collections, almost double. Maybe a quirk, maybe a timing issue. Going on down, a huge difference the other way between the state program revenues. And so we're short on the revenue side. Is this more timing
timing as far as the state revenues. We presented, when we presented the budget at the beginning of the year, we knew that we were getting less revenues from the state, and the biggest reason for that is decreased enrollment. So that is not a matter of timing. As far as the local tax is concerned, very little of the tax is collected by November. So it could be just a quirk. Overall, at this time, we are behind where we usually are through January. But at that point, we had collected a little bit more than we had previously through November.
In terms of the state revenues, do they stop after May? You don't get them for June, July, and August, do you?
We do get them for June, July, and August. There are 3 months that we don't get them: December, January, and February, mainly because that's when you're collecting more tax revenues.
Okay. So that $1.6 million should be roughly times 4 for the year.
You're looking at,
The difference between 19 and 20 is $1.6 million, and if that's for 3 months, and if that's indicative of what we're gonna have, then we'd have 4 quarters, and the shortfall is gonna be approximately what, 6 million?
no, because they don't give you the same amount of money every month. It's front loaded at the beginning. You do get more money in the beginning months.
The only other question I have, I've got a couple of them. In terms of instructional line item expenditures number 11.
Yes, the reason why we've spent more this year is we spent $546,000 on Wi-Fi hotspots for the students that we needed for remote instruction.
Okay, then what's 53?
What expenses are from 53?
Yeah, I mean, is that data processing defining attendance, or is?
That is all the software that we purchase for the district, including our financial software, our PEAM software, our HR software, and we needed some upgrades this year.
Okay, so really where it says attendance / data processing, they're just not really attendance.
Yes, correct,
All right.
correct.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you. No, I'm sorry. I do have one more. 51. We're down substantially, 400,000 in plant maintenance and operations.
That 400,000 there, that looks like a typo, because obviously we can see that it's not a difference of 404,000. But we are down in expenditures for maintenance this year.
Okay, that's all. I move that we adopt.
That's not necessarily related to the budget. You sent us an email this week with attendance up 124 over.
Enrollment.
And when we did the budget this year, didn't we underestimate our enrollment from the previous year? I mean, we never go.
When we estimated the budget, we estimated
Assume 124 more kids.
We assumed 2,697 kids when we did the budget
And we're
for ADA.
where are we sitting at right now?
3,000.
2905.
Okay, so
Well-
300. We're tracking about 300.
We're talking
That's
about
enrollment.
two different things. We're talking about enrollment versus ADA. So
Okay, but you have more kids, and your ADA is, your attendance has been basically what it was last year. We're pretty much right on the bar. More kids, same ADA, that should translate into more money.
if yes, theoretically, if we do have a higher ADA,
Than what we originally budgeted. Well, we got more kids. We have a higher ADA with.
The ADA right now, as of right now, or last week, was at 93.54%. Okay, that would be, the total membership would be 2648 out of that 2905. So if we,
so we budgeted 2697. We're sitting now at about 2648.
Okay. We budgeted 2697, but we had less kids. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how we have a higher budgeting number when we got more kids. No, I would think that having more kids and maintaining your attendance at roughly the same rate you had last year.
The last year, didn't they go out of snapshot? So last year, y'all lost your kids
Yes.
way after snapshot, like during the spring semester, you lost 200 kids.
We had about 3,100 kids, close to snapshot, close to 3,100.
It was 3083, 3083. And so then you lose 200 of that.
So we're basically at a wash right now.
Pretty close to a wash, yes.
It would be great to bring back the 200. We brought back 124, but you started out with more last
Started
year.
out before, therefore, okay.
We're not losing like the district is, so I mean, the
No,
state
no,
is,
but
so that's a good thing.
When I said that, when I got your email, I said, well, yeah, attendance is as good as it was last year. It's the
Yeah,
same.
we gotta keep
That should
moving.
translate into more money, but what you're saying is we started out with more kids last year, so.
We started out with more kids in October.
I move that the board adopt the three reports as presented.
Is there a second? It's been moved and second. Motion's been made by Mr. Kufal, second by Mr. James Glusing. Is there any discussion? If not, we'll go proceed to vote. All those in favor of accepting the common consent, the board agrees to consider all three items as one, say aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Dr. Pitts. At this time, we'll move to item number 8 under new business. Consider approval of second reading of board policy EIC local. You can find on page 11.
There you go.
Okay, I repeat my motion.
So there would have been a motion before.
To table.
To table, yes, yeah. There's been a motion presented by,
The next scheduled board meeting or special board meeting following a workshop.
there's been a motion to table this item, be the second reading, board policy EIC, to a workshop in the next board meeting. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, there's been a motion in front of the board that we table this, made by Colonel Kreitz, second by Mr. Glusing. Is there any discussion?
My only discussion is that we have three functions for the board. Hire a superintendent, we did that, check that block off. Budget and policy. And this is a policy that was written by the staff, but it doesn't have our thumbprint on it anywhere. And there are things in this proposal that when I look at it and I put it side by side with the one that's replacing, they look remarkably the same. There's some nuances, there's some minor changes, but the guts are basically the same. And the policy that we currently have and we currently function under is bad. And we're not going to get better unless we fix bad. And I don't say that it's got to be an all or nothing proposition, but I think we need to look at things that aren't working, that haven't worked in the past, and see if we can improve upon that now. And I think a lot of that is just in how we look at this policy, which is used every day. It affects the master schedule. It affects our academic programs. It affects early college, high school significantly. And I think we need to talk about it a little bit, other than have it as the last item on a 5-hour agenda. Last agenda item on a 5-hour meeting. We need to give this a little bit of time.
I believe last time that we spoke about it, we said we were going to discuss it fully at the second reading. And I believe you're correct. We do need to discuss it fully.
Yes, and a 5-hour agenda, are you talking
I
about?
mean, I think it's a 5-hour meeting, but it was the last item on the agenda from the last board when we had the first reading.
Oh, the last
It was the very
Okay.
last item on the agenda. We've been in here. We came in at 5:30, or 4 hour, I guess. We got out at 9:30.
Well, I do know that the DEIC has met about this several times, and we have definitely advertised it or sent emails for sure to all the staff and to board members about when those meetings are, so to that way we can get public input or input from the DEIC. We took it back after the last board meeting with highlighted about all the suggestions that were brought to the board at that time. took it back, had another meeting. The planning committee looked at each one of them and said they still continue to want to move forward with all of the suggestions or recommendations that have been made through all the drafts. We are showing some of the drafts for sure that we've shown right here, that we worked through with the line items in the blue, and to show that we've gone through several drafts. Also with TASB, if we do decide to postpone this, I just need to let you know about the implications of the timing. We would, if we wait until February 22nd, the next board meeting, then that's going to delay the course catalog. That's going to delay the pre-registration for this coming year. And our whole game plan, I guess you could say, is to expedite the pre-registration process because we really want to get our students enrolled with us for next year before other schools around the near Kingsville come and try to start pre-enrolling our kids. But the information on the course catalog has to align with what we're going to say in EIC local. So just to let you know, it will delay probably another month at least.
And I'll just jump in real quick again. I will again support, I know the staff has worked really hard and has looked at every angle when it comes to getting a policy in place when it comes to student success. And again, I think it was a very good job that they presented. I think the most important thing is they did have input, not only from the administrators, but again, some of the DEIC committee. And again, you are correct. We do implement policy, but again, we also too have to trust that our administrators and staff are doing what's right. And again, geared towards student success. But again, I respect everybody's position on this board. But again, there is a motion in front of this board right now to table this. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Garza, was Dr. Sandoval available to speak on that?
She's right here.
Dr. Sandoval, what was your, what's the I guess the feel that you got for while you were completing the second reading here from committees or whoever was working with you to reestablish these?
We also have our high school principal who was here on that committee. We definitely wanted to have all the high school people on the committee because.
I'd like to get them up here, Dr. Pettis, just to say a few.
Sure, Mr. Malaire.
I'll go and begin answering that question, Mr. Garcia. I, as the chairperson for the DIC, I try to stay impartial. I just go ahead and ask the questions. We discuss the items and I let the people vote. In regards to the items that were taken, the concerns that were brought to our attention on January 25th, we brought those concerns to the subcommittee, planning subcommittee, and they felt that the decisions that they had made in regards to what was in the policy was fair, and it was, it was fair to the students in terms of making it fair for everyone involved, whether we were looking at dual credit or giving weight to dual credits, or whether we were looking at the AP dual credit, the AP weight on making it tier 3 or keeping it tier 3. They felt pretty sound in terms of the decisions they had made.
AP was definitely, we all agree, needs work. And as far as professional development, bringing up the rigor in some of the subjects. But to, I guess, weigh differently this AP class, like let's say AP English versus AP Calculus, would not really be fair. We really need to bring up the rigor of AP English. That's a deeper problem that we need to try to solve. We did have a lot of those discussions as well, or they did. Mr. Malader?
And I would agree with Dr. Pettis and Dr. Sandoval. We did, we brought it to a subcommittee a couple of times. We got input from everyone. And I was just a member as well. So, but it was a time consuming where we took detailed, like, this is what we see. So it's not done lightly. Trust me, if as the guy who was here last year, when there was mistakes made, this is something we take, we took our time in making decisions and got multiple people's input, multiple stakeholders' input, as well as parents.
Let me ask this question then. What's the purpose? Del Rivera's abandoned their AP program. Santa Gertrudis abandoned theirs. Why are we persisting with an AP program? Where does it fit into the grand scheme of things?
I don't think EIC local though is deciding if we're going to keep AP or not. It's just saying if they take AP classes, this is what tier it falls under, just like if we get an IB student, or just like a dual credit, or any one of those. It doesn't mean we're sticking with it.
To assume that we're not gonna offer AP classes next year?
No, because that would be a completely different discussion, and we'd have to take that also, I believe. I want my DEIC committee definitely to be part of that discussion.
I guess my concern is that we covered it, you mentioned it earlier tonight. 2/3 of your AP class hasn't passed the TSI. Your AP English 3, 2/3 of them haven't passed the TSI.
And we agree that AP English needs work.
But their average, but the median grade in that class is a 91. They're making an A,
We agree with that.
you know? But your 5 kids, there's 7 kids that went and took college English, the top grade of the 7 was a 94. The next grade was a 92. Everybody else made less than the 91. So I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, I'm doing the early college. I've taken the junior and senior level classes, which there doesn't seem to be a lot of kids taking junior and senior level classes because they've got the AP class to fall back into. And it almost looks like the AP classes are sabotaging early college high school enrollment. Or they've become the alternative because I can't get into college. Is AP a bridge? Are we looking at it as a bridge class to something in the middle, so to speak? And if it's something in the middle, fine. Well, let's not call it AP. Or if we do call it AP, award it at 5 points. And then if they pass the test, give them 5 more. Give them the back 5. It's just this basic inequity of the kids who pursue the early college route and they get subjugated by the kids to go the AP route. And we see it year after year after year. And this is the place to fix it. Because whether we do AP or not, it's the weighting is what's driving the train. Dual credit. What is a dual credit class? Where is it defined where these are the classes that we'll give you dual credit for? I see the memorandum of understanding or agreement we have with TAMUC and Corpus where it has a laundry list of classes. Are all those classes going to get weighted as dual credit?
Every dual credit course will
Everyone
be,
will be dual credit.
as long as it's a dual credit course.
So if it's
On that
fine
MOU.
arts,
Except in
intro to
summer
fine
college.
arts or music appreciation, that's one of the classes. Is that going to get weighted at 10 points? So
Yes, sir.
If they're taken during the traditional school day, yes.
Okay, which brings to the next point, why not?
Why not?
Why can't we have a kid who takes the class every summer? And I saw the thing you gave us, and that's great. Dr. Perez provided us a copy of a program that you could get an associate's degree by going straight semester, fall semester, winter, spring semester. But the catch that I saw there was your junior and senior year, you're a full-time college student because you're taking 12 hours.
There's also, I don't know if you saw the elective classes, I think they can pay 2.5.
No, the electives you can do, but you still have to come back and take the electives, but your actual college load is 12 hours. That's a full-time student at TAMUC, is it not?
It is.
So we're telling a junior and senior, you're a full-time student in college. Oh, by the way, come back to the high school and pick up your other 4 classes during the day.
Yes.
And that's great. If somebody doesn't want to come during the summer, they have an option, they have an alternative. This is another way to skin the cat. But I can go to school during the summer. I don't understand why we're not encouraging kids to do this, because we're encouraging kids to accumulate college hours. That's not a deal breaker for me. But it does seem to be pretty inconsistent if our stated goal is get your associate's degree or get your basics out of the way.
Let me go ahead and start. Right now, we have a motion in front of the board of table. So let's go ahead anymore. So we'll go ahead and have a roll call vote to table this, the approval of the second reading. Let's go ahead and do a roll call vote. Mr. Kufal, to table the item number 8, consider approval of second reading of board policy EIC.
Based on the number of questions, yes.
Ms. Salinas,
Yes.
Colonel Kranz,
Yes?
Mr. Gusi,
Yes.
Ms. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
No.
and Mr. Garza votes no. Again, the motion passes on 852 that we table item,
Do we need to call a special meeting?
8A.
on that?
Hold on,
If I-
I'm not talking, give me a second. Title, number 8, consider approval. So what we'll do is, since it failed and we tabled it, we will bring it back for discuss, we'll have a workshop and have it on the next board meeting or whenever we have the workshop.
We have more, yeah.
Well, we'll see if it's out because we're gonna have a long night, so then I want to run into your 5-hour deal.
I would encourage, and I pledge to do the exact same here. I'd like to get my specific questions to Dr. Pettis, and so that she and her staff, there's some areas that I'm just unclear on and just need a little clarity.
And Dr. I thank you for answering my questions because they were very down in the weeds type questions. But those questions made me even, the answers to those questions made me even more adamant that we need to work on this policy.
And we will, that's why I voted, we tabled it and we'll keep on moving forward. Again, we were tabling item 8A, consider the approval of second reading. Again, it passed on a 5-2 vote.
Mr. Garza, real quick, just want to thank Dr. Sandoval and Mr. Malater and the staff that did this. Okay, this is no way reflecting that, oh, we didn't do our job. Yes, you did. Okay, so thank you all so much for carrying on that, and hopefully we won't be too long in delaying.
Yeah, I wanna add, there was about 37 people that worked on this, and some of them were here till 7:30 at night sometimes, working on this straight from 4:30. They'd come from their schools, come over here, met about it over and over and over about it. They really felt confident that they had done their due diligence and were being as fair and equitable as possible to all students. And so I want to thank them for doing that.
And I'll take a step further. We pledge to the people that are watching that we will do what's right for your student. Okay, we'll move on to item number 9. The board will enter into closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.071 and 55.1074 to deliberate and consider the following. Item 9A, consider pay grade reclassification of computer lab aid. Item 9B, consultation with legal counsel regarding legal and personnel matters. And item 9C, consider settlement agreement with Jasmine Engineering. At this time, the board will enter closed session at 6:25. We now return to open session to take necessary action on matters which the board may discuss in open session and upon which action may be taken. We are now returning to open session at approximately 7:30. Item 9A, consider approval of pay grade reclassification of computer lab 8. Dr. Bettis.
Yes, I would like to recommend that administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the reclassification and renaming of the computer lab aide to attendance clerk / tech support position from a clerical pay grade 1 to pay grade 2 due to significant increase in job duties and realigning of existing job duties.
You heard the recommendation of the superintendent. We have a motion in front that has been presented by Mr. James Galusi. Is there a second? And seconded by Mrs. Thelma Salinas. Is there any discussion? We'll go ahead and proceed to vote. All those in favor of approving the pay grade reclassification of computer lab aides to clerks as well, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Item 9B, possible action regarding settlement agreement with Jasmine Engineering. Dr. Pettis.
I don't know that this.
No, I'm sorry.
Dr.
I'm sorry. Go on.
I would like to make a
Go ahead, sorry.
motion that we approve the settlement agreement with Jasmine Engineering as discussed in closed session.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved in second. Motion has been made by Mr. Brian Kufal, seconded by Ms. Elizabeth Ramos to accept the settlement agreement with Jasmine Engineering. Is there any discussion? If not, we'll go ahead and proceed to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Dr. Pettis, is there any more action that needs to come in front of this board?
Yes, sir.
If there has been no action, I now declare this meeting adjourned at 7:31.